On this episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, we're talking about the Broncos and are they showing their cards already? Whether it be through all the pre-draft process, the interviews at the combines, the 30-man roster visits, whether it be the free agent signings, are we already showing our cards? We're going to get into all that and everything that you have, all that on the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast right now. Let's go. Well, welcome in everybody to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. And wow. Looky here, man. 4 faces, 4 horsemen. It's all been a long time coming, man. I'm your host. My name is Keith Brugman, but I better get it started. I better get it kicked off. And I'm going kitty corner right down to the corner to the one that we haven't seen the longest. Welcome back to the show, the Judge, Jody Moncrief. How you doing this evening, sir?
What's up, everyone? Glad to be back. Had some big moves since I've been away. Good luck, Kenny, with Russell Wilson, and let's go.
Jody, I think the last time you were on a podcast, Russell Wilson might have been our quarterback of the Denver Broncos. It seems like it's been that long, man. Welcome back, buddy. Can't wait to talk some Denver Broncos football with you. I'll introduce you to your newest co-host. I don't know if you've met Kenny Kirkpatrick. How you doing this evening, Kenny?
Good. Welcome, Jody. Great to see you live with us. You're always in the chat. Either it's us or the Giants show. K. Love that you're back. And it wouldn't be a Denver Broncos Roundup show without Jody saying the words Russell Wilson. So he got them out right away. And I had to run real quick. I noticed my glass. I didn't want anybody thinking I was drinking beer. I've been drinking a lot of juice lately, and I've got white grape juice, and it looks just like beer. So family show, I want to make sure everybody knows it's white grape juice and not beer.
Very good. Kenny keeping it PC here on the DVR. So keeping it always on topic and right through the roof, the Rocket Man himself. How you doing tonight, Trevor?
Doing well, Keith. Jody, welcome back. That looks like the Brady Bunch. I mean, with all of us on screen, I think we should have that Brady Bunch intro at some point in time. But good to have you back, Jody, and can't wait to have a great podcast tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's been too long. Like I said, Jody's here. We're talking off season, and thought about this, man. Are the Broncos starting to show their cards? Jody, I really want to push this topic right over to you first and foremost, because we've kind of talked about all this, but you've been kind of missing. So go ahead, kick us off wherever you'd like to, but we've had some free agent signings, and we can talk about, does that kind of start to tell the tale of where the Broncos go in the NFL draft? But first off, just pick a name. Tell me what you think, man.
I'll just start with the D as a whole. I think they addressed everything that went wrong in Buffalo. They got ran over. They got bullied right up the middle. Sean Payton mentioned that multiple times, that he was going to address the middle. Started right off by re-signing DJ Jones. Then he went out and got Hufanga, hard-hitting safety who's down in the box. Helped that run game. We got ran all over by James Cook against Buffalo in the Buffalo game. This dude was an all-pro 2 years ago before his injury. And then went out and got the linebacker that I wanted from day one, Dre Greenlaw. Before his injury, I mean, he shut down Travis Kelce in coverage in the Super Bowl. This dude is a beast. That, along with getting Alex Singleton back, you've addressed up the middle, just like Sean Payton said multiple times. It was a huge thing, and it you've seen it in the Buffalo game, James Cook, and we got bullied in that game. James Cook ran all over us. And then went out and got Evan Ingram. Everyone said that was the position we needed to upgrade the most on offense. And I think we went out and got the best one that was available. I kind of feel like he fits right into the kind of the wide receiver room, the way they line him up. They line him up in slot a lot. Mm-hmm. He's an extension of the wide receiver room. So I do expect them still to draft a tight end, but he's going to fit in great. I don't really care so much that he doesn't, score a lot of touchdowns. What I like is the volume of catches he gets, and he will help move the chain. It's another big target over the middle, and that's where Sean Payton likes to throw the ball. So A+ for me, as long as people stay healthy. A+ for me on everything that they've done so far in free agency.
I want to get to just your thoughts really quick on, how you feel about the health of the players that we brought in. But first, I just want to say hello just to a few people, and then I'll get your thoughts on it. I got to say hello to Ernie Mays coming in here saying, "Go Broncos country only." Bo Nix for 6. Hello, Keith and friends. And Paul's coming in saying, "Hey there, hello as well." Full crew says Karen. Yep, it's us, Karen. Thanks for being in here and being in here early. Nice to have the 4 horsemen on the screen, and even amazed Pearl, who's coming in here saying, "Wow." Got to say hello though to Mr. Michael Ronquillo coming in here. He's been supporting us episode after episode. Michael, one of the OGs, always loved and appreciated. What do you call him, Kenny?
Everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo.
There you go.
You said it best, Keith. For those who don't know, K&K Sports Show, he's part of our show there too. He's part of our crew. So we love you, Michael, and Ernie as well, and Pearl, and everybody here. Always supporting both shows. So we love you all.
Michael, thanks for the 100 stars, though, man. Appreciate the support financially as well. Always, gives a little extra boost to what we do every single night when we come on here. Also, just maybe doing his best Jody impersonation, saying the New York Giants signed quarterback Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal, letting us know on that as well. It's good to see you all in here. I want to go back to you, though, just really quick. How do you feel about the health of these players, Jody? We've talked about it. What are your concerns or non-concerns?
There is a little concern, but I have full trust in this training staff that we have here for 2 years now. I mean, we've been one of the healthiest, if not the healthiest team. You can look at Brandon Jones. You can look at Cody Barton. I mean, they basically played, maybe missed 1 game, 2 games at the most. They were healthy. Even Mike McGlinchey, who missed some time when he was in San Francisco, I mean, he stayed pretty healthy. They've been healthy, and it all started when they got rid of Lauren Landau and went the new route with this training staff. So I have full faith in them. Obviously, they're paying them big money, so I'm sure all medicals and all that was checked out to the fullest, and I'm not worried about it. I'm slightly worried, but not really. It's not like a top priority or worry for me.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like it's a high percentage worry, not putting it high on the scale on a 1 to 10.
Correct.
I'll start bouncing around the screen a little bit. It's going to be a little bit odd having everybody on here, making sure everyone gets a little bit of love on here. Trevor, man, I just want to kind of encapsulate, what we kind of were talking about, what this all means, man. Did free agency give you any pointers towards automatically taking a position or 2 off the table when it comes to the NFL draft? Did that in and of itself do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it really did anything, Keith, as far as like what you couldn't or couldn't do at the draft. Obviously, in the first round of the draft, I should say, obviously you're not going to be taking a quarterback with Bo Nix, but I think any other position and every other position, maybe not offensive line. Other than that, you have, maybe not safety as much with Hufanga, but that's like,
and that's where I was getting at with these free agent signings.
Yeah.
Did that change anything for you?
See, that's the thing though, Keith. So those deals are reported as 3-year deals, but they're not actually 3-year deals. It's a 1-year, 2-year commitment to these guys. So they're shorter term deals that's, low cost for the Denver Broncos, but high upside for them if these guys can stay healthy. So I don't think it's stopping the Broncos from going out there. Maybe they do draft a safety. I don't think it's likely with other positions of need that they have, but I think always what the goal was for the Broncos was to address needs in free agency so they give themselves the best chance at landing the best talent on the board at the time when they picked at 20, moved up, moved back, whatever. But I think that they address needs in free agency, which I think is important. You don't want to go into the draft very needy at certain positions, because then that's when you find yourself in trouble as an organization.
So I would say it slightly changed things because, like you're saying, it didn't necessarily lock up a position, but you're not going in feeling ultra needy in those positions at the same time. So a little bit of a balance on both sides. Kenny, I want to get your thoughts on this. Did you feel with a Dre Greenlaw, with a Hufanga, with going out and getting an Evan Ingram, did that change, again, maybe the perception of who we're going to go after or who we need to go after in this NFL draft?
I think everything is open now. You can stockpile a position now. If there's a guy that slips, and Keith, we just did an article today, dark horse people in the draft. And I said, in go read it, but there's going to be a couple names that surprise you. But if in the draft, if a position, offensive tackle heavy early, for example, Broncos don't need an offensive tackle. You go and you get the best linebacker off the board and get the linebacker that's number one off the board now. And if running backs are going early, if Janty's off the board and you can get one in this deep running back class, tight end, et cetera, go get the best player available now, in my opinion, minus quarterback, of course. So Broncos are in a prime position. And if somebody slips, move up a couple spots and get the stud. Go read my article and see who the fifth guy I have on the list, because it's quite possible it could happen. This guy could be in range, in the 12 to 14 range. And go read my article on the Denver Bronco website. What is it, Keith, again?
RockyMountainSN.com. We just dropped the link right there for everybody to read.
Yes. I want everybody to go look at it and criticize me if you don't like it, but go look at it. I don't want to share that now, but you guys go look at that article, see who my fifth guy is on there, and you're all going to say, wow. So go check it out. But yeah, best player available, even move up a few spots to get that best player available if somebody slips.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it starts to point, right? Because you go out there, you get an Evan Ingram. I think that was one of the biggest signings. Man, we've been looking for a tight end. We've been asking for a tight end. I didn't think we'd go out and get an Evan Ingram per se. I didn't think that, honestly, as much as I wanted a Mike Gesicki, that we were going to be able to land a Mike Gesicki. I thought we were going to slow play it. I thought it was going to be all in the draft. I think that this does help point a little bit of where we would like to go in this NFL draft. Linebacker all of a sudden feels like it's completely off the table, where at the very beginning of this NFL draft season, it feels, well, I get the look from Trevor, and I get it. It feels like it's almost completely off the table. I'm not saying it is, Trevor, but it feels like it's almost completely off the table, in the regards of where most people are expecting us to go in the first round of the draft now, So, I think that I don't think it's like, hey, we've got a lock on exactly. We know exactly what we're doing. But I do think, like kind of Trevor was saying, it helped balance it out where you're not like going, oh my gosh, we better get a tight end in the first two rounds or we are up the creek once again this year. You know what I mean? So gives us a little bit of feeling there that we can maybe relax a little bit. But certainly, I don't think almost any positions off the table. And that includes if the presumed number one pick all of a sudden is at number 20. I don't know what we do if Cam Ward's sitting there at number 20. That being said, I don't think that's going to happen. We won't have to worry about that. I wanted to get into another thing that Kenny maybe might kick us off with, start going around the board. And that was another piece of this offseason, right?
Yeah.
And that
could I have 10 seconds? I said 20. I can't leave our fans in suspense. I got to let them know who the guy is. I want to plug Lindy's Sports Guide. I follow them. I got the draft book. And when I did this article, my fifth guy is cornerback Will Johnson. You guys are going to say, crazy, he's not going to be there at 20. You're right, he's not going to be there at 20. But if the draft works where we just say in tight ends go off the board, offensive line goes off the board, I've seen some drafts where Will Johnson's going in the 14 range. Broncos make a call. they're comparing him to PS2. So now you can have a PS4 on your defense. You bring in Will Johnson. So his intelligence is there, cover ability, boundary. It says coverage ability, intelligence, and athletic tools. Johnson is what people would envision in their ideal boundary corner to be through the next 10 years. So if he's there, best available. The Broncos are in prime position. Get it. That's my 10 seconds. Go read the full article, though, if you want the full reasonings why. But thank you guys for allowing me to share that.
Absolutely, man. I think this draft could get scary crazy. We've heard all the talk of where Shedeur could possibly going. I've heard him at 2. I've heard him at the end of the draft or in the second round from some experts. And it seems like, outside of a couple of 2 or 3 names, it starts getting tough when you don't have the need and you're picking in the top 5. You don't have the need for that particular position, but you're in the top 10. Well, now that person gets jostled down the list. You never know where a guy like Will Johnson might end up. I got a cornerback, or Michael Ronquillo says, cornerback Will Johnson is the 5th on Kenny's draft pick.
Thank you, Michael,
course,
for going to
NFL draft picks. He's all over there reading it, man. He's locking it in, buddy.
It means a lot, Michael. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
The main argument I keep hearing is the trading of Sutton. But thing is, I think that is ridiculous. There's been a little bit of this scuttlebutt. I think it's mainly just fodder on the internet more than anything. I haven't heard anything with meat around this. I guess we can address this. Karen's coming in and maybe asking, what do you think? Jody, I'll just go around the horn kind of like we did on the last segment. So Jody, Kenny, and then Trevor on this one.
I think trading him is ridiculous unless Cortland Sutton it didn't help Denver today that Stephon Diggs, coming off that massive injury, just got 3 and 69. So, Cortland Sutton's going to want a big number, I think. So does he price himself to the point that Denver moves him and prioritizes a wide receiver high? No, but receivers are getting paid, and they're getting paid big, and we have not really addressed it. So whether I agree with it or not, Sean Payton is high on these younger wide receivers. So if he prices himself, I could see where he could possibly price himself out just because of what other receivers are getting paid right now. Like I said, Stephon Diggs, he got paid massive coming off a major injury today.
Yep. Sure did. Yeah, good point. Kenny, Karen's not up for trading Sutton. Getting rid of talent is never acceptable. Is now the time where we might be heading into the second kind of contract negotiation with second year going into a contract negotiation with Cortland Sutton? Some talent on the team, good draft picks, possibly being able to move up or get somebody else. Is now the time for Sutton to move on, or is this just fodder on the internet?
If the Broncos were what they were supposed to be last year and a rebuilding team, I would say yes, it's time to trade Sutton. But because of the year you had last year, you found your quarterback, you found your team is going to contend this year in the AFC for not just playoffs, but be a dark horse for the AFC championship. You can't trade Sutton. You got to keep a veteran that has that connection with Knicks. By all means, right? Any means necessary, you keep him this year. Worry about next year when next year comes. So I'm with Karen. I am not trading Sutton, and I'm with Jody, not trading Sutton.
Making it a sweep there, Trevor?
I think everybody knows how I feel about this. I didn't want him gone last offseason when all this, all these rumors were kind of spilling out there, or move on from Sutton. And who's going to be that number one wide receiver for the Broncos? Who? There's nobody other than right now. There's nobody else other than Sutton who's that guy. He's Bo Nix's favorite target last year, literally. So they got to find a way to keep him. I think that you have young wide receivers that just have not established themselves yet. There's potential, but they have not established themselves yet. So I just don't think you can take Cortland Sutton away from Bo Nix right now because he's still this team's number one pass catching option today. And you just can't take that away from Bo Nix. He needs that safety blanket with Cortland Sutton being around. After everything Cortland Sutton's been through, now is not the time to move on from him. He's shown you that he was willing to play last year on that, some of those low guaranteed contracts. I should say low guaranteed contract last offseason, I should say. And he proved that, he's still a number one caliber wide receiver on this team. Maybe not in the NFL, but on this team, he's still the number one wide receiver. I don't think that you can move off of him right now. I don't think you can afford to.
But what's his going rate? I mean, T. Higgins just got 30? I mean, really, he had better numbers. Yeah. If you're going off numbers, or can he price himself to the point that Denver just moves him, kind of like DK?
Well, not to go off topic, here's where the draft comes into play. A player like Michael Ronquillo's Arizona wide receiver, Tetairoa McMillan drops. You got a number one wide receiver for the future. You worry about next year when next year comes. Sutton may not be on the Broncos next year, but if you build through the draft, you got to see what free agents are there. This year, he's there. By all means, he's there this year, but we worry about next year when next year comes, in my opinion.
Do you think he holds out if he doesn't get
hold out? Then I look to trade him. I do. I'm sorry.
Well, I think that we could see a very similar situation to what we saw last year, where he didn't show up for anything voluntary. Probably shows up for team because he's a team captain. It seems like that's the type of thing that he would do. This is my concern if I'm team Cortland Sutton, is that, again, if, let's say, McMillan falls to the Broncos and the Broncos are like, you know what, this makes too much sense, we're going to bring him on. Does that leave Cortland Sutton a lot less valuable to this team, opening him up for whether it be a trade during the draft or a trade before the trade deadline? Again, I don't think it's if I was team Cortland Sutton, I'd want to be getting something done right now before the draft happens. I would just say that this is not the time to play around, because if tight ends and running backs are off the board, I'm going to start looking at my draft board. I'm going to say, what position costs me a lot of money? Jody, you nailed it. If I'm talking about a long-term, high-paid wide receiver, look at what Chase is getting. Look what Justin Jefferson is getting. I'd like to get those guys locked up on a rookie contract, just like I did my quarterback last year.
And I don't think he's in that tier of wide receivers, but he's in the numbers of what T. Higgins is getting, and he got 30, 31. So it's just something that I don't want to happen, but I can see where he's going to want that. This is his last big payday.
Yeah.
I would just say this: if they had any inkling that Cortland Sutton wouldn't be back in Denver, I think that they would address wide receiver a little bit more seriously than they have this offseason. I don't think they've addressed it much this offseason yet. McMillan, it's like, okay, he could absolutely drop to the Broncos, but that's a big if. And if he does, just roll with Sutton and McMillan then. I mean, throw multiple weapons out there at other defensively at teams. I mean, for me, I think that he's back. He's been hanging around Bo Nix this offseason as well. So it tells me I think he's happy and having a better situation than he was last offseason, maybe. I think that a contract extension, I think if the timeline would get done, would be after the draft, because Broncos are just working to try to get everything done for the draft that needs to be done. After the fact, I think we'll start seeing some extensions. Zach Allen needs to be on the table as well on some other contract extensions being talked about and possibly getting done before the start of the season, just like PS2, Quinn Miners, and some of those other extensions that we saw this past season.
Karen is nailing this, though, man. Great comment. Sutton is easily a top receiver on any team. That can be a little bit debatable, but this next part, I 100% agree with. He had a game where they weren't even throwing him the ball and was classy about it. He's not drama. And I still remember that game, man. Came out, it was all about the team. And that's one of the reasons he's a captain. It's one of the reasons he's been back on this team. I'm not saying that, again, that there is any plans to move on from Sutton. I'm just saying I don't think it helps Sutton if he goes post-draft to get a contract done, just because I think there is some possibility that they look at that position. It's got to be on the table. We just talked about all of these positions being on the table outside of maybe quarterback. So wide receiver needs to be there as well. You don't want to be replaced. You just don't want to be replaced. You know what I mean? And locking yourself on a contract kind of helps you that way.
I will say that game in particular, that's when I think everything turned for this offense. That's when Bo Nix stopped the one read and run. He stayed in the pocket. If you go prorate his numbers out for the whole year, I mean, from that game on, they're just totally different from the first 7 games. Everything changed after that game when whether Peyton forced him or whatever happened to stay in the pocket look at Sutton's numbers after that. I mean, that's where his numbers took off as well. So
turning point for sure.
Well, and with Cortland Sutton, real quick, Keith, I was Cortland Sutton, you kind of know what you're getting with Cortland Sutton. I mean, past 2 years, 2 different quarterbacks, and he's been able to prove himself a little bit. And so you don't know what you're gonna get from Troy Franklin. You don't know what you're gonna get from Devon Bailey. So some of these pass catchers that you have in the wide receiver room, there are a lot of unknowns right now. Cortland Sutton, out of anybody on this roster right now, out of any of the wide receivers, he's probably the one guy you can count on to be there, and you kind of know what you have with him. And I think if you move off of that, you're taking a big risk to seemingly even some of the unknowns in the draft, because it's going to take some time for Bo Nix and let's say McMillan, they take McMillan at 20 and New Falls to gain that chemistry together.
Fair. That's fair. I might as well do it right now, man. I got to tell you everyone about our fantastic sponsor. Our fantastic sponsor is Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets has been your headquarters for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, the estate gold wholesale prices for over 34 years. One's a nationwide company now. They're just in your backyard, northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, doing tours, doing shows, doing gem shows, you name it. They're out there. They're out there peddling their wares. So if you're in the area, you see a gem show, I almost guarantee you should pull right in and check out Morgan Trinkets. But you don't got to wait for those shows alone. You can head right on over to Etsy, type in Morgan Trinkets Co. That's Morgan Trinkets Co. And there you are, bam, checking out all those amazing treasures that Pearl has to offer. From the Southwest Jewelry, Pottery, and Estate Gold at wholesale prices to the silver, yes, sterling silver, yes, 100% sterling silver she has to offer. All orders over $50 are shipped absolutely free, and she accepts all major credit cards as well. Check out Morgan Trinkets. I'm guarantee you'll be satisfied with the treasures you'll find. Head on over to Etsy, Morgan Trinkets Co. That's Morgan Trinkets Co., your headquarters for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, Estate Gold at wholesale prices for over 34 years now. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. A dog show is coming up, so that's another little thing that Pearl has going on as well. Got to go over to Phil real quick, just say hello because I just saw this pop up. It says, "Good evening, Keith, Rocketman, Judge, and Kenny. Sorry, no notification on Facebook. Oh, dang. What's going on over there? If I get it,
I got it on mine.
if I get a first round for Sutton, I am okay. He will probably be on the $28 million range later. Great article, Kenny. You got some good sleepers.
Thank you.
Dang.
It means a lot. It really does mean a lot to hear you all reading my article. You putting a big smile on my face, chat. Love you guys. Posse, I should say. You guys are putting a big smile on my face. Appreciate you all.
And also 200 stars coming in from Mr. Phil McLaughlin with that big old comment as well. And Phil, I think if we could get a first rounder for Sutton, I think most of us would probably be marching up. I don't think he's necessarily at that level at this point. It probably more like a third round pick for Cortland Sutton is probably a little bit more realistic, and he's not worth giving up for at that point. So as much as I would, like to think that we would look at moving on from Cortland Sutton, I also don't think it's going to be a first round pick that's going to be offered up anytime soon. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen.
You're on point, Keith.
I agree.
No, I agree with that. Anything less, it's not worth it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's the value. I mean, I think it would take a heck of a situation in order to move on from Cortland Sutton. Whether, like I said earlier, whether it be during the draft or even, at the trade deadline. I think you guys brought up some great points about the connection that he has and the let's just face it. I mean, Troy Franklin should be an instant connection for Bo Nix coming right from the college game, but that's not necessarily worked out in the NFL. It takes a little bit of time. Right now, him and Sutton have the chemistry. Let's not mess that up. Kenny, I'm going to turn to you, man. We're going to have to breeze through some things in order to get through all of our topics, but it's top 30 visits and combine visits. That's another maybe telltale sign of what might be happening in the draft. I know that you had them all. I have them all off to the side as well. We can go back and forth, but I'll let you kind of kick it off and take it around for us.
I think if you guys agree, I'll give you each a player, and you tell me if you think this could be a fit for the Broncos or if it's a smokescreen. Basically, we'll play along. Audience, play along. Tell me if you like it. I'll throw a couple stats out there for you. So I see Keith on my screen first. I'll go give Keith the first guy. So the Broncos brought in met with six running backs. I should say seven. 7 running backs, 2 top 30 visits, and 5 combine visits. Most of these stats are similar in the running backs. So that's why I brought this up. It caught me, by surprise here that there's very similar running back styles here. DJ Giddens, I'm going to give you, Keith, 1,343 yards, a 6.6 average, 205 attempts. He had 7 rushing touchdowns, another receiving touchdown with 21 receptions and 258 yards, Keith. You think that this was a top 30 visit? Do you think this guy could be in play? And while I got these guys, you're going to see chat before I let Keith go, and Posse and guys, you're going to see a lot of similar stats, but these are guys, we're talking about this for weeks leading up to the draft, which is next month. Could the Broncos draft 2 guys? And some important guys that haven't met with the Broncos on the running back room was Ashton Janty, Amarion Hampton, Trevion Henderson, and Dylan Sampson. So 4 first and second round running backs haven't met, and different style running backs than this list. But Keith, DJ Giddens, a fit for the Broncos? Could you see it happening?
I like Giddens. I think that it definitely could be a fit. I think that he brings some elusiveness, but he also brings some power. I think that he has a good enough catch game that you could kind of consider him a joker as well. I think that DJ Giddens out of Kansas State as a mid-round, obviously we're not rushing up there with our 20th pick to pick up DJ Giddens, but as a mid-round running back is more than a smokescreen. I think this is a guy that we could have general interest in and to watch out for come draft day.
Absolutely. Love it, Keith. And I think he's an excellent fit and one of my sleepers too. I think he's going to be a steal, whoever drafts him. Let's hope it comes to Broncos country as our second running back, because I think there's going to be something special at the top end of this draft for the Broncos in the run game. I'm going to go to Jody next because I know what his answer is going to be on this, so I know he's probably got some good points on him. Kinshawn Junkins also had a top 30 visit. The other Ohio State running back, not named Trevion Henderson. Could we maybe see a 1-2 Ohio State punch coming back to Denver? Judkins had 1,060 yards, Jody, 14 touchdowns, 5.5 average. He had 194 carries, 2 touchdowns, 22 receptions. So he's going to be more like the Mark Ingram type running back. And that's what you're seeing here from these guys that I'm going to have listed. More of a Mark Ingram, Sean Payton type running back. Judkins to the Broncos, Jody, you in?
Oh, I'm all in. That's the number 1 running back that I want in this draft. Mainly I like his size. He's 6 feet, 220. Did it both in the SEC and 1 year in Big Ten. And he put those kind of numbers up splitting carries. So he doesn't have the tread as some of these guys that had 250, close to 300 carries last year. That's the number 1 running back for me, and I've been on him for since I watched him destroy Notre Dame. So,
yeah, I think he's I like him too. I know some other guys, but we won't debate. We'll just we'll respectfully go with Jody's unless somebody really has a disagreement on him. They want to take 30 seconds because I know we got a few names to get through. So, Keith, Trevor, if you want to disagree, now's the time.
No, I was just laughing because they destroyed his Notre Dame Irish, and then that was when it went on to his mouth. He's like, I gotta watch this guy.
If you think somebody's not a fit or a fit, you disagree with your fellow co-host. please take 30 seconds for the debate. Trevor, you get Caleb Johnson, combine visit. Johnson, 1,537 yards, 6.4 average. You're starting to see a pattern here, if you ask me. 240 carries, 22 catches, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sounds like another Mark Ingram guy to me, right, Trevor?
Oh yeah, I'm a fan of
Comparison,
Ken. He can do a lot of different things, in my opinion. I mean, he's one of those. I mean, could be a 3-down back, honestly, and I think that he could be Caleb Johnson could be part of those, running back group that we see go early, day 2. I went and I say round 2, round 3, kind of in that range. We're going to see a lot of running backs go, and I think Caleb Johnson will be a part of that. Wouldn't be surprised at all if the Broncos took a look at him in the second round.
And I said it earlier. I respect the heck out of this Lindy Sports Pro Football Draft Guide. In their mock draft, it was just done. This is a brand new book. Colston Loveland going to Tampa Bay. Caleb Johnson at 20 for the Broncos. That's how much they like Caleb Johnson. I know that sounds like a reach, but I like that they went sleepers on somebody that nobody's picked. So Broncos running back number 1 need in their opinion now that you got the linebacker and safety, and they like Caleb Johnson over Hampton and Henderson. So,
does your book have comps on players?
I'd look real quick as I'm going that next guy up. And well said there, Trevor, about Caleb Johnson. I'm going to give Keith Broussard-Smith a sleeper of mine in the later rounds, I think. SMU guy, 1,332 yards, another 5.7 yards a carry. He had 258 carries for 14. A little more on the reception, so a little more of a receiving threat. 40 receptions for 327 yards and add 4 more receiving touchdowns, Keith.
Yeah, Broussard-Smith, a converted wide receiver to running back. That's why you see the great hands that he has. Probably has the best wide or receiving profile of any running back that we'll probably see in this NFL draft. That being said, he's still developing as a running back. Doesn't necessarily have all the skills and assets that you'd like to see, like you'd see among a lot of these other guys. He does kind of fit that joker role, though. He's going to have to come into round. It's not a guy that's probably going to see the field very early. But the way that Sean Payton likes to have a multiple running back type of system and seems like he wants to have that bench full, I would say Broussard-Smith is no smokescreen. I think this is definitely someone they have an interest in.
Yeah, well said, Jody. To answer your question, it's Jordan Mason. So that's not a sexy name, but they like his yak, like his contact, yards after contact for Caleb Johnson. And, he played on an offense that wasn't that great, and to put those numbers up, he could be a sleeper in this draft. I don't know if I would go at 20, that much of a sleeper, but you could go early in the second round, in my opinion. I got three more running backs that I'll give you. We'll go through these quick. Devin Neal, Jody, combine visit. Devin Neal, very similar numbers. I have it written down here. Lost it. Devin Neal, 219 carries, 1,266 in yards, 16 touchdowns, 5.8. Another 250 yards and a touchdown receiving with 24 catches. We're seeing the pattern here. Jody, would you be okay with Devin Neal?
In the later rounds, maybe. I like the other Kansas State running back better. I just from what I've seen the last 2 years with Peyton, I want a bigger running back there because pass protection is going to be important, and it is one of the, in my opinion, the only reasons Javonte Williams was kept around was he was the best pass protector, and I think that is something that gets overlooked, and that's something that these guys are going to need, and that's why I tend to lean towards the bigger running backs.
Yeah. Trevor, I'll give you the last one because I don't, the last two. I don't have Ollie Gordon's stats in front of me. I thought I had everybody written down, but I'll give you Cam Scatterbo, and then we'll move on to the tight ends. We'll move get this segment rolling. Scatterbo, 200. Listen to these stats, Trevor and guys. 293 carries. Arizona State made it to the playoffs. Big 12, 1,711 yards, 21 touchdowns, almost 6 yards a carry. Here's the kicker, 45 catches, 605 yards receiving with another 3 touchdowns. Middle round steal here for the Broncos, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Here's the thing: is I want Cam Scatterby to be my number 2 running back in this draft. The Broncos take because I want them to invest in that running back room. Cam Scatterby, I like him. I think he's a little undersized. I'm kind of worried about that going into the NFL, but I think that he does kind of have some of those traits that you're looking for in a running back. Can be effective in the passing game and also can be an effective runner. So, yeah, I like Cam Scatterby probably more for me like an early day 3. But we could start seeing him, kind of fly off the board a little bit depending on, how soon these running backs go. Because I think we're going to see a plethora of them, go day 2.
Minus Caleb Johnson and maybe Judkins. I'm even going to say Judkins is going to be more of my second running back in this draft because I'm looking at Janty, I'm looking at Henderson, I'm looking at Hampton, one of those 3 as an early pick for the Broncos. And these guys could be anywhere from 3 to round 7, some of these guys. Jody, I don't have Ollie Gordon. Want to do it real quick? Ollie Gordon, I know you're a fan of his. Ollie Gordon, what would he bring to the Broncos? Middle round pick? You like him?
I like Ollie Gordon. He didn't put the numbers up this year, but Oklahoma State was not good this year. They didn't have a quarterback. That was a lot of the problems. They had O-line injuries, but I like Ollie Gordon. The only thing with Ollie Gordon is I see a lot of Audric Estime, and so if you're drafting another Audric Estime, why? You need something better or stay with what you got and draft other positions. And that's why, I'm fine with it, but he's not my number 1 guy.
Fair enough. I got 3 tight ends. I'll give you
just really quick. I'm going to just jump in real quick. Michael Ronquillo just reporting that Jadon Blue from Texas has some fumble issues, he says, but he had a 30 visit with the Denver Broncos as well, just to add one to the list.
Thank you, Michael.
One other one that I wanted to just hit before we went on, I saw this one, Paul, and this is like a quick around the horn. What 2 running backs do you double dip? One needs to be a day 3 type. Kenny, since you've been asking us all the questions, I'll go to you. You've been able to look over all these guys. Go ahead, buddy.
Go big or go home, Paul. Love the question. Get me Ashton Jeanty if he gets by the Raiders. Go for it. Draft with it. Whoever you need to get. Ashton Jeanty is my number 1 back on this Broncos offense. My day 3 back, I just had him. I gave it to keep Rashard Smith. I think he's going to be late 5th to 7th round. So I think he's a third round back, and he gets you that receiving threat because he's that Tyrone Tracy type that the Giants picked in the 5th round last year. Jody, your double dip.
Judkins, and my double dip is we need to see Audric Estime.
He's going back. We need to
see Audric Estime. He was not utilized right last year, in my opinion. Payton made a huge mistake not playing him in the playoff game. And I seen what he could do at Notre Dame. He needs a real shot. If he's not RB1, he needs to be a close RB2 and getting 10 plus carries a game.
There you go. Going a completely different direction. The Judge. I'm always up for that with the Judge. Trevor, your double dip.
Yeah, so for me, I like Trevion Henderson and LeQuint Allen. Those are my 2 guys. I think Henderson is going to fly off the boards a little bit too. I think he might be, for me, he's this number 2 running back in this draft, right behind Jeanty. And LeQuint Allen, I think that he's going to start going up boards and could possibly go sooner. But I think he's a probably early day 3 guy. And maybe if the Broncos want to double dip at running back, that would be 2 guys that I would look at. Can multi role kind of running back, can do a little bit of everything. And what has speed on their side. Great athletes.
My double dip. I'm going to take one of yours because you took one of mine. Trevion Henderson, I'm going to go with as my first. I'm going to go Bashul Tootin as my second, man. I think that would be such a lightning double, thunder and lightning, just pound and ground and pound and just blow you up type of running back room. If I had to pick 2 guys from the draft, not to go against Jody and his Audric Estime. So going back to you, tight ends. Yeah,
fantastic. Yes, tight ends question. Real quick. I got let's do this. There was 2 other players I wrote down here that they brought in. They brought in Cam Kroger, punter, top 30 visit. I don't that maybe they like Cam Kroger. I like another punter. That I don't think Matt Hack's the answer. I watched him kick on the Giants. He doesn't have good hang time. Go read my article. I got a sleeper punter for the Broncos. And then they bring in the quarterback, Cam Miller out of North Dakota State. Don't be surprised if this is your undrafted quarterback. That's the third string emergency quarterback here. That could be a visit that's important for future and maybe a future backup. And then don't sleep on this name, Trey Wettig, 6'7", offensive tackle out of Wisconsin. Did some research on him. They say he's a project. He's projected to not even be drafted. But that size alone, if you could teach this size how to block in the NFL, you got yourself one heck of a sleeper. So don't sleep on him. They brought him in for a visit. So that surprised me a little bit. So tight ends. Again, I'll go in order I got here. Keith, you're going to get Mason Taylor. They brought him in for a visit at the Combine. 55 receptions, 546 yards, 2 touchdowns, 10 yards a carry.
This is the guy that if the top 2 tight ends are off the board is my default number 3, Mason Taylor. I think this is a great visit because you don't know what's going to happen in the first round and you don't know who's going to be sitting there. Maybe you go a different direction and you end up getting Mason Taylor a little bit later. I like Mason Taylor. I think that's a fantastic visit.
I like it too, and I'm just looking for his pro comparison. It's going to be somebody named Charlie Kohler from the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Well, we Charlie Kohler be compared to Mason Taylor. I like the Mason Taylor. I do. I think he's starting to grow on me, and I think he's climbing up a lot of boards. You can maybe see him go in the second round. So could be in play for the Broncos second round if the draft is falling where they want to pick a tight end. Trevor, you're getting the second guy I got on the list, and that's Colston Loveland. We know where he's projected to go a lot in the first round. Some people are saying early second round. Some people don't like the injury. But what do you think about Loveland? 56 catches, 582 yards, 5 touchdowns. Again, 10 yards a carry. Similar tight end style as Mason Taylor, it looks like.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Kenny, we have to start having this conversation. Is there really truly one elite tight end in this draft class, or do we just kind of have a handful of really good tight ends, and they're kind of alike? I mean, they got different, skill sets and whatnot, different body size, but is there truly Brock Bowers in this draft class? I don't think so. I think Tyler Warren's kind of getting a lot of hype right now, but Colston Love, I don't think he's getting enough hype. I mean, I think Colston Loveland, I think day one, if he's healthy, can come in, be an inline blocker, can also get open and be effective in the passing game. So the thing is, if you're the Broncos, do you want to take a chance on Colston Loveland at 20 and maybe miss out on a chance to take a defensive lineman or trade back? Who knows? But maybe Colston Loveland, maybe him and Evan Ingram are on the field together. I do like Colston Loveland. I don't know about at 20. If you could trade back and still get Colston Loveland, I like that idea a little bit better because I want another day 2 pick in this draft. It's very deep in this draft at day 2. So I do like Colston Loveland, though, Kenny, and I'm starting to like him quite a bit more than I think the credit than more what he's getting deserved from, Tyler Warren getting a lot of hype, but Colston Loveland, I don't think he's getting enough hype out there.
Trevor, you took the words out of my mouth. I'm going to tell you a quick 15-second side story. His comparison is Greg Olsen. I coached high school football with Kurt. We were in state championship. We played against Greg Olsen, and our defensive coordinator, we wanted to stop Greg Olsen, so we double teamed him the whole game. Well, we stopped him. I thought Olsen was going to be a defensive player. He was an edge rusher, defensive end. He had 7 sacks in that state championship game against us. We double teamed him. The other players beat him. You get me a comparison to Greg Olsen. I know the player he is off the field. Heck of a guy. Get me a Colston Loveland on the Broncos, and I'm all in with you, Trevor. He has really rose up my boards after seeing this comparisons.
I do have one thing on him. You can't look just at his numbers because last year they ran the ball a lot and they didn't throw the ball, and this year they absolutely had no quarterback. So if you are just looking at numbers, you can't do it with this guy because they didn't throw the ball.
Yep. Don't number scout. Don't number scout.
Interesting one here for you, Jody, to wrap up the segment. Gunnar Helm, 60 receptions, 786 yards for the University of Texas. A little more on the average, 13 yards, Jody.
This is my number 2 tight end. If we make a trade up, there's 2 guys I want, Tyler Warren being one of them. If we don't do that, then Gunnar Helm. I like his size. He reminds me a lot of a Jimmy Graham type. Ran a 4.8 at the combine on an ankle that was, the size of a softball, the way it was sprained and stuff. I mean, and to gut through that, I thought that was pretty impressive. And he's a local Colorado kid as well. That doesn't hurt. So for me, he's my number 2 tight end on this board.
I will tell you, I won't say it too loud. Their comparison is Adam Troutman. They say they they like him. They like his size, like you said, Jody. The only negative is they said he has to improve on his blocking. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Then he's a Payton guy.
Fair enough, and he does have more yards. But thanks, guys. There's the segment. If I missed anybody or anybody wants to add anything, please do.
I will say, fun fact, there's 2 tight ends that are actually local kids. That's Gunnar Helm and Terrence Ferguson. Terrence Ferguson is actually from Littleton, Colorado.
That's right. Yep.
Michael's got a great point. Watch out for Loveland to the Chargers if the Broncos don't take them.
I have a question on the tight ends. When talking tight ends, what kind of tight end do you want? Do you want a Jimmy Graham type, or do you want an all-around like Rob Gronkowski?
Ingram now. I'm okay either way.
What does Denver need or want?
I want the Loveland type, the Greg Olson type. I do. I want that over.
I want the Tyler Warren type.
You want the Tyler Warren type?
And I heard like a comp for him is like Mark Andrews to kind of give you more of a pro comp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's fairly good. You know, I mean, it's projecting a little bit, obviously, but that type of player. You know what I mean? I think that. Not an Arroyo. A little bit more blocking capability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, it's why I think tight end is going to be high priority, because stuff I see, Evan Ingram, he plays in the slot a lot, and he's going to be, he's still a tight end, but he's more of a wide receiver almost, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that gets overlooked is that tight end of what Evan Ingram's going to play. He's a lot more of a slot. He can even be pushed to the outside a lot. He's more of a wide receiver. And it was the whole reason I think that we didn't go flying out trying to pick up another wide receiver to add to this roster, is because I think we end up getting more of that talent in the tight end. That being said, it's going to put a lot of onus on whoever it is or himself to go out there and be a better blocker than maybe he's been in the past, because I think that's something that we need to do. And it's something we'll need to continue to do. We just got done talking about running backs for the majority of this segment, it seemed like, so if we want to have a run game, we got to have a blocking tight end as well. And I don't want to be so evident as to run out Adam Troutman because we want to run the ball and then run in Evan Ingram because we're going to throw it. Can't be that obvious and evident to everyone, including the opposing team. Kenny, let's try to do this really rapid.
Yeah, we could do this.
I know that you have
I got a way of doing this real quick with you guys.
Okay, so we have running back options left in free agency, and I know that this has been a big topic for everybody. This
is getting thin.
It's getting thin. So go right ahead.
I go 5 names down, and we're going to run this way, guys. I'm going to be the agent. We got an offer. This is the offer. You're going to say, I'm going to raise the offer. I'm going to fold. You're out. So it's like poker, in or out. We're going to change it on the spot. Audience, play along. I'll change the order this time. I'll give Jody the first one this time. J.K. Dobbins, Jody. We got an offer, 2 years, $8 million. Are you raising the stakes and getting J.K. Dobbins in here, or are you folding?
I'm folding, and mainly because Jim Harbaugh folded, and he had him last year, injury prone. And I'll beat this drum until it doesn't work. Is I want to see Audric Estime.
Paul's saying he's in. He's going to raise the stakes on Dobbins. I'll just do one, and then we can talk at the end. We'll get our closing thoughts in. So I'm going to give Trevor. I'm going to give Trevor Zeke Elliott. We got an offer, 1 year, $3 million, with some incentives. 226 yards last year, 3 touchdowns, 642 a couple years ago with 3 touchdowns. Are you going to raise it up by 100,000, or are you going to fold?
No, I'm folding 100%. You got to knew this. I'm a reaction. Folding 100%, not even considering
run away. Ernie's saying out, and Ms. Pearl saying no, wait for the draft, and Paul saying no, out on Zeke. I got 100 stars from Phil on my end here, Keith. If you don't see it, it's a question. We'll get to it in a second.
Yeah, sounds great, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
let's
do this
do that.
quick so we can get to Phil's question. Keith, I know this is going to be the offer. 1 year, $3 million for Nick Chubb, but with the option of getting $3 million in incentives, so up to $6 million. We got an offer, $1 million 3. You going up to 3.5 for him?
Yeah, I'm going in. I think Nick Chubb is a good enough option at $3 million. I don't think that you're $3.5 million. I don't think you could really go wrong. If nothing else, he's going to bring in a little bit of a mix of what you'd like to see from that drafted running back that you're bringing in as well. A guy that can run and catch the ball. I think that Nick Chubb would be a good option to bring in on this roster.
I'm throwing the chips in too. Ernie's saying yes on Nick Chubb. 2 years injuries, of course, but in 2015, guys in Posse, 1,525 yards and 12 touchdowns. You're not going to get that from him, but if you can get half of that for $3 million and mentor a young rookie running back, why not? Why not take a chance on him? So I'm with you guys. I got 2 more. These are bottom. Now we're starting to really dig in. Jody, 1 year, $2 million with some incentives is our offer we got for Gus Edwards. 365 yards. He was hurt last year with the Chargers. I'm giving you another Charger. 4 touchdowns. And in 2023, though, 13 touchdowns with 810 yards. So good goal line back. Do you want to bring him in?
I got to pass again, and it's really because Jim Harbaugh passed on it. I mean, he had these guys and he let them go for a reason. He's hardcore into the run game, so a fold for me.
Last one we'll give to Trevor and Keith if you want to add anything, and we'll get to Phil's question. Cam Akers, 444 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2022 was his career year, 786, 4 touchdowns with the Rams. Thought he was going to be something special. I drafted him in fantasy football. Turned out to be a bust. Cam Akers, a simple 1 year. We got $3 million offer from let's see who we get an offer from. We got an offer from the Raiders. Are you going to try and beat the Raiders so they don't get Cam Akers, or are you going to fold?
You can have them. Just take them. If we don't want them, nope, no way.
It's thin. Yeah, I mean the point is this running back class this running back room that's left, free agency is thin. Chubb would be the only one I would take a chance on. Maybe J.K. Dobbins.
You started getting thin at Ezekiel Elliott, though, Kenny. I will say that. That started kind of where the thin.
I put him on because of the name. I would not bring him in. Miss Pearl's saying no, and Ernie's folding as well.
I have a quick question.
Without injury for Michael. Yeah. And then I'm finished with my segment.
Off of that list, would you have taken any of those running backs over Javonte Williams?
Off of this list I just read?
Yeah, and if not, then why wouldn't you just
Nick Chubb?
bring him back?
Chubb, yeah.
A healthy Nick Chubb, I agree with that, but excluding a healthy Nick Chubb.
Yeah, that's
including a healthy Nick
question.
Chubb, probably not. Maybe J.K. Dobbins, but I'm surprised he hasn't gotten an offer yet. They might be asking for too much.
Yeah, wrong time to be asking for too much. And that maybe brings us to this question. Phil dropping some stars. I'm going to just go around the horn, topping around. So Trevor, Jody, Kenny. Phil's wanting to know, would you guys bring back Vaughn on a $5 million 1 year deal, projecting 20 to 30 plays a game? What are your thoughts?
Want me to take it first? I'll take it.
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry, Trevor, and then Jody, then
okay.
Kenny as well.
Yeah.
So, Trevor.
Yeah, I'm not really interested. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and sugarcoat it. I mean, I like Vaughn for what he did and love Vaughn for what he did back in the day. But you have young pass rushers that get after the quarterback. You don't want to block those guys. Von Miller, it's a great story if he came back. You know, 1 day, retirement thing. You know, he signed a 1 day contract to retire Denver Bronco. All for it. But I think at this point in time, you kind of, you want to continue to develop your pass rushers that you have in the building right now. But nothing but love and respect for Von Miller, nevertheless.
I'm with Trevor. Well, everything I'll say yes on that other than 20 to 30 plays. 30 plays is way too much for me. You could cut that in half, maybe less than that, 10 plays at most. Then maybe we can talk.
I'm against my fellow co-hosts, Trevor and Jody. I am bringing them back for $5 million 1 year deal. One thing you don't have on the defense is a KG veteran. He'd be back in the Denver community. He was a great Bronco. You bring him in on a 1 year deal, $5 million. as a backup, you know, and as long as he knows he's coming in as a backup behind Benito and Cooper, and if, you know, God forbid one of them gets hurt, you got some depth that you're comfortable with at that position. So I'm bringing him in at that price. Yes, 1 year.
It is an interesting one. It's kind of borderline. But I think I'm going to be on the same side. I think if we were void of talent at the pass rush position in any way that we aren't already, I would probably be signing up for it. But I think I really like what the talent that we have, and I don't want to take them off the field. And I think that's what you're getting. You're not going to get them to come in here and be a coach and that be it, as much as I think he's obviously done pass rush camps and the whole 9 yards, and I think he could bring a lot to the table. But he's going to want to come in here and he's going to want a part of something. He's going to want to play, and that means taking playing time from guys who are trying to develop. So I think I'm going to pass there. As much as that pains me to say, to pass on a Von Miller on a $5 million contract.
Can he accept that role? Do you think he can accept that role?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he can accept that at this point. I think he still feels like he's got one more decent playing year in him before he really goes into it, like more of a coaching and kind of rides off a little bit. Is this the Jesse Lee comment / question you're asking about?
Right there.
No, that one. Okay. Yeah. Someone read it because I can't see it. Right off the top.
Jesse Lee says, fellas, any way we take Trevion Henderson with the 20th pick, starting to think if we like him so much, might as well take him at 20. Also, I don't think he's going to be there at pick 51 in the second round. Kenny.
I don't think he's going to be there neither. I'm sorry, I was just writing back to Michael in the chat. Starting to think we like him too much, might as well take him at 20. That's high for Henderson, but if he's your number one running back behind Janty and you don't think he's going to be there at 51, Jesse, you take him. You know, you try and trade back a few spots, but if you can't, and that's your guy, and you know he's not going to be there, or you're afraid he's not going to be there at 51, yes, you take him at 20.
Jody?
I agree, and I think Bo Nix is proof that, I mean, everyone said you could move back and still get him. Peyton stood right there and drafted him when people said that was way too high. So if he falls in love with someone, he's not afraid to take him where he thinks he can get him, 100% get him. So,
Keith?
Boy, this is actually a really good question. Just to be counter side of it, because I am about 50-50, I'll say no. I'll say that the draft class is deep enough that you should be able to find still a good running back for yourself, and then I think there's going to be other players available that you should be targeting, whether that be a defensive tackle, whether that be a wide receiver, whether that be a tight end. Who knows? But I don't know if I want to go out there and say that Trevion Henderson that some people have in the second or third, I'm going to run up there with my 20th overall pick.
Yeah. Jesse Lee, thank you for the comment. Thank you for the question. For me, guys, see, if you trade back in the back end of the first round, I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be against it because you're able to get the second best running back probably on your board. Genty's probably going to go top 10. I don't think he sniffs 20, in my opinion. So if you can get the second best running back on your board available, trade back into the first round, you get that 5th-year option. I wouldn't be against that. Now at 20, I think it's a little rich for my blood, but if you can get a day 2 pick and you can get your guy essentially other than Genty, I think you have to go for it and kind of be aggressive and look to make that deal.
I think it'll tell you that if you take him that high, that he feels that Denver's one piece, that's the missing piece.
Yeah. Very, very, very telling. Very telling, like when Michael Ronquillo closes this out like Michael Ronquillo only can, with 1,000 stars, man. 1,000 stars. Great show tonight, Keith, Trevor, Jody, and Kenny. Go Broncos. Michael, like I said, man, you've been keeping the lights on and keeping me in front of the microphone effortlessly with your stars. Appreciate you coming in here, helping us out in the way that you have as of lately. It's it doesn't go unnoticed, my friend. But
I
also
do wanna
doesn't go
say something
unnoticed.
about Michael real quick.
Yes, go right ahead,
I'm
sir.
sorry. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. Michael is, we say this, everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo, but Michael is our Adam Schefter. I've been away in New Jersey. I've been doing a lot of traveling and going food shopping and all that today. And he posted something about the Arizona Wildcats men's basketball head coach Sean Miller going to be the head coach at Texas now next year. And I didn't know that, so I made sure I thanked him on there. But if you're friends with Michael on Facebook, he will spread news out, the truth, and he's better than Adam Schefter, better than anybody out there spreading the news. So truly appreciate you, Michael, and you are truly everybody's friend. Thank you.
Absolutely. Little love from Paul coming in saying Ronk, and a lot of love coming in from Pearl for us saying fantastic show tonight. Love you all. Got to get some closing thoughts, man. We're just a little bit over the hour, but I want to say goodbye to everybody and get some final thoughts. We usually squeeze out some great little nuggets right here in the end. So stick around, and I'll start with Trevor. I'll go around the horn.
Yeah, I just want to appreciate everybody in the posse for joining us tonight, whether you're watching live or even after the fact. We really appreciate everybody's support and the posse's support. Jody, it was great to have you back tonight. The Four Horsemen is back. First time back in a long time, and can't wait for future episodes with you as well. But just a big thank you to everybody who supports us, and we'll see you next time. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you next time.
Stay cool.
Yeah, cool too. Yeah, in that time.
We're all in a heat wave right now. Jody, some final thoughts for your first night back on the mic, man. It was a great one. You brought it, man.
Oh, great to be back. Great to talk Broncos. Excited for this year. Denver pushed their chips all in with the moves they've made this off season, and I think they are telling you that they are in win now mode. You got Bo Nix on a rookie contract, and now's the time. I can't wait for this season to get going.
There you go, man. Amazing off season. I wish you could have been more of a part of it as it happened, as it's played out. I was glad to get your thoughts and your comments on it, and it's just getting heated up, man. 29 days to the draft, and we got a lot to talk about between now and then. Kenny, you're going to be along for the ride. Some final thoughts for you.
I can't wait. I know you're going to read some of our posse in a minute there, but thank you, everybody. Bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate you all and the love. You know, I look forward to doing this every Tuesday with you. And my co-host on Wednesday's K&K Sports Show and Let's Talk Broncos, Mr. Kurt Valenti, is going to be mailing me his Russell Wilson jersey so I can wear that. Broncos are playing I'm a Giants fan, so much my other team. I'm going to be wearing that Russell Wilson jersey. We're going to be doing a lot of crossover shows that week. So be prepared, posse. We'll share the news when that week comes. But there's going to be a lot of shows that week, and you're going to see Russell Wilson one more time in a Bronco jersey.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can have you wear a Russell Wilson Broncos jersey on the show. I'll be honest, Kenny.
You got to do
something.
One time, you got to say, "It's Giants country. Let's ride."
we did tonight on our Giants show. Jody made us do it.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you. That'll
be a fun week. That's going to be a fun week that I can't wait for.
Yep, for sure. I'm going to say good night to everybody. Like Karen, who's saying bye, friends, and here's to the next live. Absolutely, we go live every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We just had an emergency broadcast podcast that we put out there a couple of weeks ago. You never know when that's going to happen. So please like, share, subscribe. We're over there on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. Take us on the go. Watch us live any way that you want us. We got you there. So thank you very much to Karen and to Pearl and to Ernie and to Paul, Michael Ronquillo, dropping stars. Thank you. Phil McLaughlin, dropping stars. Thank you. Kenny Kirkpatrick, hanging out in the chat. Appreciate you, Kenny. Roy Osborne, thank you very much. Ernie Mays, of course. All of our posse members that come in every single week, Tuesdays, Fridays, emergency pods. Scoops was in there. Thanks for being in there as well. Thank you for all the support, man. We've been growing. Been getting lots of support. It's all because of you. Again, those likes, those shares, subscribes. help us out a ton. Can't wait to be breaking this all down all the way these next 29 days as we lead up to the NFL draft and then have an amazing draft show. That'll be right around the corner before we know it. But gentlemen, we do all get out of here. Hope you had a fantastic night. Hope you have a fantastic week now that it's Tuesday. Boy, I'm getting all my days mixed up. Thank you, everybody, for a fantastic night. Talking Denver Broncos. Have a fantastic week. We do got to get out of here. I get out of here, well, just one way and one way only. How's that? Make sure you keep your boots in the stirrups, guns in the holsters, and, of course, the Denver Broncos in your heart. Until next episode, y'all take care, and we're going to get out of here. Have a great one.